Hey guys, what's up? We're back with my playoff game against Raiza for SPL Semifinals. Just finished about 10 minutes ago. Really intense game. As to be expected with a competitor of Raiza's caliber and myself. Had a really intense game in week one, so really excited for this game coming into it. I brought a pretty interesting team structure, so he, on the other hand, also brought a pretty standard structure, but with one kind of outlier Pokemon, if you will. And it's Pokemon that tends to historically match up pretty well against me, and I'm kind of outspoken in my metagame stance of it kind of being phased out of the metagame. So let's get into that before we unpack the teams as a whole. I've never been a huge proponent of Scizor. I used it once during week one of SPL 7, but that was back when I was a bit more radical in my metagame takes and team structures and whatnot. But since then, I have not even touched Pokemon. I just don't think it's that great. But personally, I do see some merit of it. A lot less than others, like ZF, for example, but I do see some. Um, First and foremost, it is able to really do well against Alakazam and Latios and even Reuniclus. Assuming it's not Scarface, otherwise Reuniclus could just recover up your turn damage just like 50-55% and lefties plus recover. Yeah, but it does really well and also has to move Pursuit, which allows for it to trap those Pokemon. And as you see here, I use Latios, and I use Latios every single week. So yeah, um, that's kind of a smart bring from him on this rain team, as otherwise rain teams get overwhelmed, of course, by the psychic type. So he was able to integrate that Scizor onto a rain team with Thundurus, which was kind of his like good matchup pick. Personally, I think I'm more prepared for Thundurus than most. I'm always conscious of it, but no one is really fully prepared for Thundurus unless they bring something like Gastrodon. Sorry, hiccup. Gastrodon, Chansey Blissey, or like Sun. So in a way, it's a safe call regardless. I really respect this team choice by him. Dude, I think there were some things that he might have struggled with. Yeah, but I think those were things that I was less likely to bring, such as say Mamoswine, and that's especially the case if his tentacle was slow. But we never really found out his spread, and Seed Bomb did a ton of damage, so less likely. Regardless of that, looking a bit deeper into things, Breloom could be an issue to him, but he does have Thunderous that's bulky, very bulky, so that could be kind of mitigated a little bit. Especially seeing as I have no pursuit. Anyway, let's get into his whole team. So we mentioned the Thunderous as a kind of win condition threat, breaker. Scizor as a trapper, but a utility Pokemon, which is a pretty safe bring against me. Politoed is almost definitely going to be a defensive variant. Probably has speed to Encore Bloom, if I had to guess in the structure. But yeah, Scald, Toxic, Encore, Protect is my guess. It could, in theory, have Refresh, as Sun absolutely destroys him, and having Refresh against Sun gives him more like chances to hack through and whatnot, especially with Pursuit and Trick on board. But again, I don't think he was ever expecting me to use that. So yeah, Tentacruel. If I had to guess in this team, it's probably Toxic or Toxic Spikes. I don't think he's got knockoff on it. I don't think he's got Sludge Bomb on it. Given the Thunderous and Ferrothorn being there to kind of cover those options. Sludge Bomb is for Breloom, so you got Thunderous for Breloom and knockoff. Kind of don't need like two members of your team. Thunderous again, I'm expecting it to be a bulky sub-variant. Looking a bit deeper, the Ferrothorn on his team is definitely Stealth Rocks. It probably also has Spikes and knockoff, and then one attacking move, my guess, at Team Preview is Power Whip. However, it could be Gyro Ball if he really is more paranoid about Latios. But he does have Scissor on board, so my mind went right to Power Whip. And finally, he also has a Latios on his team, which is almost definitely going to be Scarf. I think even if the Scizor was Scarf, it would be Scarf on this. Just his Scizor is a flimsy Scarfer. It's really only there to get the fast U-turn surprise on Latios who's trying to attack it. But yeah. Now looking at my team, I have a team of Jirachi, Excadrill, Landorus T, Rotom W, Breloom, and Latios. It's kind of a play on the team I used against Dice during week, I want to say 5 of SPL. Might have been no, it was week 5. Except this time I have Excadrill over the Magnezone, which in my opinion is a really good pick. I actually like Special Defensive Excadrill against him quite a lot. He doesn't really use a ton of Gliscor, and the combination of Earthquake with Mold Breaker and Toxic does quite nicely against his structures in my experience. It also has a ton of special defense, so things like Focus Blast from unboosted Reuniclus is barely doing half. And I can actually PB solve Focus Blast between it and Jirachi, which is really cool dynamic. So that way I could force Paralysis onto it and eventually kind of beat it down with Breloom or just outlast it. So Reuniclus is not an issue, despite it normally being pretty problematic for weatherless teams in my experience. Moving on from that, it also is my spinner on this team. So if I'm able to trick the Ferrothorn or weaken it, then combination of threading earthquakes it should do about a third to especially defensive, which it is in this team. Ferrothorn and Rapid Spin goes a long way. Anyway, the Jirachi is actually not rocks either. Neither of the first two Pokemon are rocks, the steel types. It's Wish, Iron Head, Body Slam, U-Turn, kind of a pivot set to avoid being trapped by Magnezone or anything like that, but also generate momentum. And not needing rocks on it goes a long way because having the Wish kind of to be free without like being pressed to click that Stealth Rock turn early in the game, it really does matter in some matchups. And those turns matter a ton in Black-White, which is a pretty fast-paced here with all things considered. Beyond that, Landorus T does happen to be my rocker. I've been quite fond of the bulky Stealth Rock Landorus T set as of late. I run only 240 speed just to catch the Facade, Breloom, Swords Dance set. If they run max speed, which a lot of them aren't even doing anymore. But anyway, Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Hidden Power Ice, U-Turn. You know the drill, standard set. Same as my Dice team, pretty much the last 4 Pokemon. Scarf Rotom with Trick, Hidden Power Ice, Hydro Pump, Volt Switch. Yeah, it's got close to max speed, max special attack, and then like 16 HP, 24 defense, something like that. It's a spread that I think I talked over with like ABR, BKC, either during World Cup or Smog on Tour. I don't quite remember, but it's a solid spread. Does a couple things. I don't have the calc on hand. Not going to refer to it in the middle of the video, but yeah. And then last but not least, the Sub Punch Breloom, which is really well with paralysis from Jirachi, as I mentioned before, but also is just a menace to teams in general, which is really cool. And then Latios, which is Choice Specs, Draco Meteor, Surf, Trick, and Recover. Really love that set. Can't go wrong with Latios and Black-White right now. There's a reason why my usage for it is 100% and will remain that moving forward. You can go ahead and throw all your Latios countermeasures that you want. You're going to need more than that to win against me. So let's get into the game. I'm leading Breloom just because I'm facing a rain team. So, yeah. Right off the bat, if he lets Thundurus, which I was kind of expecting, I was going to hard focus punch turn 1 on either the Nasty Cloud or Substitute. That was a play I decided coming into the game because no one Hidden Power Ices. He always would be Substitute. So, yeah. Anyway, he leads Scizor, which right off the bat gives me a really crucial piece of information. And that would be the set. So I'm going to click Protect here and sees U-turning, and I have to switch out. And I don't mind forfeiting some momentum early on, so I go to Landorus just to know I can scout U-turn damage. And this reveals at -1 that he is Choice Banded, but probably not max attack. I need a little more information to be sure. Anyway, I really want to U-turn here, predicting a double switch, but I just go to Rotom W, knowing that it kind of is a mid-ground. I don't mind taking a Scald as long as it doesn't burn, and I kind of flip him behind a little bit here. But anyway, I double into Breloom. I figure he's going to predict a Protect, and he might do something funky like that. He goes to Scizor, and I U-turn thinking I don't really want to like risk taking a Choice Banded U-turn on that, so I just get this back in, knowing full well that I can fuck around. And he reveals to be Substitute here, and I'm like, okay, maybe he's offensive Substitute, but if not, I got to eat the 2 Thunders. He kind of outplayed a little bit in the early sequence, and that's good for him, but I don't mind. This is probably just trick bait for Latios anyway, or just fodder anyway. So again, the Jirachi is really poor in this matchup. Body Slam and U-turn always is going to break this up, though. And now I get Latios in, and I think I just doubled the Breloom trying to catch a Steel type. And that is indeed what happened. No, I go for Trick here. Sorry, I go for Trick predicting the Pharaoh, knowing he won't risk Scizor coming in on Surf. And now I go to Breloom. So yeah, getting that Trick off is really crucial, and I'm sorry I forgot that sequence. But now I'm predicting he's going to be faster Encore Politoed, so I just go for that Focus Punch, and I'm going to connect 71%. Unfortunately, that's like either max damage if he is... it really doesn't reveal anything about his speed, basically. So I just go for Seed Bomb, knowing if I sub and he Encores faster, that's kind of lame. And Seed Bomb does 29% Latios. Then he goes for Draco here. I see that with Protect, and I go to Drill. And now this is a really crucial turn of the game. So he does 28%. So he should know from that max special attack Scarf Draco damage doing only 28%, which is so little to an extra Drill from Latios of all things, that I have to be near max special defense. So seeing as he could tell from my leftovers on Landorus, that's almost definitely the rocker given my trends. And just how bulky it is. Like it's like plus defense was like almost max defense. It's like 176 defense, 240 HP type shit. So yeah, he should really be able to tell that this drill is especially defensive kind of utility variant, especially given that a mold breaker. So he has a couple potential options here. First one being he could go Ferrothorn on the Rapid Spin, get lefties, and then Earthquake's a roll to kill. If they're Protect, it's actually favorable for him. But he also doesn't need Politoed, even if that happens to die. He really doesn't, because I have no way of changing weather. I don't have a Sunday Magnezone. So that would be the safe play for him. Or he could go for the ballsy play, but risk losing the entire game in the spot. play and going to Thunderous, which walls me defensively, yes, but seeing as I'm not Rock, so the only moves I have to have are Earthquake and Rapid Spin, I could very well be Toxic on this. Toxic, Protect, Iron Head are all possible fillers. And I predict him to go for that aggressive play because I know I'm behind, and if I get a Toxic off on Thunderous, then the game is over. I win the game. I would have to get outplayed pretty thoroughly. He would be on such a timer, and I would have the fodder of something like that Jirachi. And also, Exegol can live a Focus Blast if I get a couple more Protects up. So therefore, in the long term, if I really wanted to position myself, I could like risk switching it in on, say, a Thunder, hit Power Ice, don't get taken passive damage, and if he lands a Focus Blast, not to end the world, especially with the accuracy. So yeah, especially seeing as he's defensive Thunderous. I don't even know if he has it though. He might be Nasty Block. So I go for that Toxic, and if I land on Thunderous, I am in such a good position all of a sudden. But I'm gonna go for the Toxic, and I'm gonna miss the Thunderous, and that's really unfortunate. And here, I really am scared of Focus Blast, but I know that he's probably just going to substitute. He might not even have it. He might be Nasty Blast. So I just go for the spin. I'm trying to cut my losses. I go Latios here, and I see that damage, and I'm like, okay, so that's either a high roll from a really defensive variant or a mid roll from an offensive variant, so I'll roost it off. I might have to sacrifice my Latios. He goes 49% there, though, so yeah, it seems to be a really defensive variant. I go for a Surf here. Yup. Hidden Power Ice. It does 50. So again, not a bad roll, but I'm like 2 HP short of Living Rocks. So I go for the Surf there, knowing that he could go Scizor. And now he goes Tentacruel, which is a really good play by him because he doesn't need the health too much. And now he goes Scizor here. And here's the fucked up part, because if I was able to live Rocks on that turn prior, I probably would have just switched, honestly. But again, those hidden power rolls were pretty favorable for me, so I'm not complaining about it. But like, because of that, I felt forced to stay in, and I can't switch out of the Tentacruel when I'm so low at that point. So I'm kind of conditioned into roosting, which is fine. But now that I'm at, as you see, 75%, I go through the calc. Well, I went through the calc when he clicked the initial U-turn, and there's like, given his attack damage from the U-turn, as you saw before, U-turns before, on things like Landorus, there was a very legitimate chance that the pursuit from Choice Band and Scizor didn't kill. And when I say very legitimate, I mean anywhere up to like a third. But if he got like minerals before, it could have always killed. But I'm thinking, okay, if I'm Raiza, there's no way that I'm switching out. Like, think about it. I need to get the damage off in the Scizor. I can't just lose his Latios for nothing. And in a way, it's kind of like a weighted 50-50. And I'm thinking, I'm still feeling like I'm behind after that miss on Toxic before. So I'm just like, if I could switch out for free, just letting him get that U-turn out, then I could preserve this Latios, it's back healthy, I could check the Thunderous, and all of a sudden it's a game again. But if he pursuits on the Surf, then, I mean, he's going to live Surf easily because it's almost definitely a special defense investment. And if I live again, then I can potentially force 50-50 to roost up, because I don't think he's going to want to let the Scizor go. I'm going to switch out to something like Ferrothorn or the Tentacruel. Alternatively, I could Surf if he stays in and I could keep this for the game, and then I think I'd win. Because look at the remaining of his team against, what if this is gone? Ferrothorn's tricked, so I could probably roost up on it, because again, I think it's Power Whip, not Gyro Ball. This slower dies, this slower, and Bloom fucks with it. This faster, but it's like Choice Lock in the Draco, and I have 2 Steel types and Protect off the butt. So yeah, seeing as I was in a losing position, I really thought hard about this one, but I was like, I think I really have to risk it. So I switched, and he called it. He pursued it, which is a good play by him. Maybe he had more attack investment in the rolls before, or min-max kind of stuff, and it always kills. But I don't really think that was a misplay. It's the only questionable play in my game. Anyway, I go to Balloon, and at least I could make it a trade. I kill the Politoed, which isn't the most valuable member of his team, unfortunately. He goes right back out to Scizor. I could have substituted here, but I was really paranoid about him being a slower Scizor. Because again, I think this has to be especially defensive Scizor. Like, not max attack given the U-turn damages before again. And I think it bulky just because, like, that's what makes sense. I know people like CL have used it before. That was the same Scizor I used years ago when I mentioned. It's just like, if you're going to use Choice Band Scizor, it should be bulky, not fast. So, again, because that's, otherwise you're dying to 2 Focus Blast from Alakazam. Nicholas is doing a fuck ton to you. And he doesn't have, like, any Wish Support or anything. So, like, yeah, I mean, I feel like the built-in natural bulk of that investment would go a long way. So I'm scared if I U-turn, if he U-turns and he's not max attack, I could substitute after he gets a fast U-turn off, but my Balloon has some speed. It hit like 179, 180-ish. So if he was faster, then sorry, what was I saying? If he was faster, then I could get a sub up slower, and that would be cool. But then I'd also be really weakened to the point where I couldn't live something like a Thunderous T Hidden Power Ice, or even a couple of Scalds from Tentacruel, without like having to spam Protect and risk him switching. So I feel obligated to switch here. This was actually like a turn I put a lot of thought into as well. So I go into Landorus here. I take that U-turn and it crits, which is really unfortunate because that kind of limits my sequencing. But I have to get a lot of turns right here anyway. So first off, I predict him to substitute off the bat, but I know that he's not going to want to get too low, particularly because he's going to want to be able to sponge something like a Focus Punch from Bloom. So on the next turn, I predicted Hidden Power Ice again, knowing that if he subs, I'd probably just lose the game, and I get that right. I feel like I'm on top of it, and now I think I Volt Switch here. Yeah, I Volt Switch predicting the switch because, again, I need to make him ground. I'm making these really good plays, and now he's at 55% after that, so Earthquake always kills. He goes to Tentacles, I go to Bloom. I predicted him to switch out to Thunderous or Ferrothorn, and I really didn't want to go for Toxic again and to hit the Tentacle. So this kind of gives me another way of getting a free kill that's a bit more like guaranteed. So I go Bloom there, and that works out really nicely. So he U-turns, and I don't know if he's faster again because of minus priority, but I go for Focus Punch here. I see that damage, and that means he's a faster Tentacruel, which means that Seed Bomb can do like 60 max, I think. But I kind of want to see if I could maybe force a choke here, since again I'm gonna be like well above half regardless how I kill this, but I can kind of position out and feel it out. This also give me a couple turns just to calc some things. Between turns, I actually calced out what I thought the Thunderous spread was special attack wise, given the hidden power damage, but I didn't really have any definites anyway. But yeah, this sequence again, I could guarantee being near healthy. I should have protected here, but I was scared of him switching out to Thunderous, so I subbed. That was the one turn I do regret in this sequence, but it wasn't really a misplay because, again, there's a risk-reward weighted to every single part of this. And now I protect again, and given the Seed Bomb before doing 61, I knew I have a decent chance of killing here, and I'd be at, like, a respectable amount of health after a couple protects. I could potentially live something like Hidden Power Ice and Thunderous, given the spread that I think I calculated out. I think I need one more protect. He goes to Sizzler as well instead of Thunderous, which I think was a misplay by him. I think he should have just went Thunderous. So I get a protect off, and now I am able to live that Hidden Power Ice, I believe, which is really clutch. Now I fought off the Jirachi. It's really useless here. I could bring it in on something like Ferrothorn, sure, but he can get Thunderous in and then sub up, and that would really suck for me. Anyway, I always live Surf. He actually got a high roll, which shows how bulky especially defensive X drill is. Get that Earthquake off, always kills us 56 minutes. That's great. But now he has the Thunderous back in, so I predict a substitute. Knowing if he didn't power this is fine. And Seed Bomb for max attack adding Bloom always breaks this up, so now it's pretty much a sacrificial Bloom. I really wanted to go to the Landorus on the Thunder here, but I couldn't risk him subbing again, so I Focus Punched. And yeah, he takes me out. That's fine. And now we're in a 3-3 position. I go to Rotom Wash. Hydra is doing about a quarter to that Ferrothorn. So I'm going to have to get a lot of sequences right. I go Landorus here. And he misses Whip, which is cool for me. But, I mean, he crit the U-turn before, so not really. But anyway, here's a big turn. So I'm thinking this through. And I have 3 plays here. Actually, all 4 moves make some sense. But I've never really hidden Power Ice here. So if I'm predicting him to go to Thunderous, then I just U-turn. If I'm predicting him to stay in, I could either Stealth Rock or Earthquake. Earthquake puts him into range where Hydro Pump 2 KOs. Stealth Rock puts his Sizzler into maybe, if he's not especially sensitive, I think Hydro Pump can kill range, and also weakens the Thunderous to where Hidden Power Ice sub kind of bullshit is limited to minimize the 50-50s that he could turn in his favor. If I U-turn on the Ferrothorn staying in, then I am in deep shit. I lose Drill, and then I just am right back where I am anyway. So I don't like that option. Ultimately, I decide to Earthquake because I really don't think he's going to risk Thunderous on the U-turn. But he gets me there, which is a nice play. And it wasn't really that risky. Hidden Power Ice didn't even do a KO. But I knew that he wouldn't want to risk like later 50-50s. But he made the right immediate play and got me there. But I predicted not to sub again because I think he wants to preserve his health. And now he switches back to Ferrothorn, and I land a Hydro Pump, and I crit. So now, barring absolute min roll or a miss, I'm able to take this out, and I am. So now it's a game. He goes to Sizzler, and here's a turn that decides the game pretty much. And yeah, that crit helped me a ton. But at the same time, if I just hit Toxic, that Thunderous would have kind of worn itself out. And on top of that, it would have just been another 50-50 sequence, essentially, if I missed. So I don't think he was risking doubling the Thunderous on a potential follow-up Hydro Pump. So I just would want Landorus and then would have been in the same position regardless. But anyway, here's the big turn to decide the game. Pursuit, if I switch out, always kills me given my calcs. Again, you got to keep in mind that Scarf Rotom W is far less bulky than Max HP, let alone defensive, which you don't see much physically defensive in Black White. But yeah, so this turn decides it. If I Hydro under Pursuit, I win if I connect. But also, that gives me two more chances to miss. So I'm thinking he's more likely than not to Pursuit here. Yeah, I think he's more likely not to Pursuit. But if he U-turns and I stay, then I lose. Or if he U-turns as I go Excadrill, then Thunderous comes in. And then if I hit Hydro Pumps against Thunderous, barring a Mineral, and this Rotom W, and a Scizor, I actually don't even need to Hydro Pump. I think Lander should be able to 1v1 after that. But yeah, if I had a couple Hydro Pumps, or he could go right back to Scizor to force one of two misses, kind of that thing. But then I could also go in. It's a bit of a mind game. But basically, if he pursues and I Hydro, I'm favored, but I have two missed chances. If I Hydro on the U-turn, unless I crit, or he's like way less bulky than I think and I get max damage, then he wins. If I go to Excadrill on the U-turn, then I'm favored again, but it still comes down to hitting. And potentially rolls. If Thunderous is like more HP than physical defense, and I'm thinking it's got more physical defense on this team, because they really want to live like a lot of things. Like Gyro Ball power behind a substitute from Ferrothorn, which I use a ton of. Body Slam, as you see from the damage before from Jirachi. So yeah, that could come into play. But yeah, it pretty much comes down to this weighted 50-50 on both sides. Ultimately, I like the Hydro Pump, and here comes. I miss, which means I lost either way, but he U-turns, he didn't Pursuit. So well played there by Raiza, and the Thunderous T, which gonna haunt me for a while now. Not poisoned, at full health. Takes out the Landorus. He says sorry, but again, it happens, part of the game. Now I go drill. Now we just see a really long sequence of me like fucking around. Hidden Power Ice is so little if you see in a minute, which is kind of funny. Just like 20%, not even. Yeah. It does like 20. See. But yeah, and now the game pretty much ends. I can't touch this. Resting the game. So Raz is going to emerge victorious 2-0. I'm going to fall to 6-4. He's going to advance to 3-7. Do I think I deserve to win this game? Yeah. If I hit Toxic, there was no real way I lost this game. But that's okay. I'm really happy with how I played this, all things considered. There were a couple kind of weighted 50-50 turns I got wrong, such as the Latios turn. And the Hydro kind of turned to end. But I also got the Thunder sequences right, predicting around Hidden Power Ice, Thunder, sub stuff with Rotom W, Landorus. So that went a long way. Really happy with how I played, all things considered. Raiza didn't necessarily play a poor game himself, but he got a little passive towards the end, and I really think he should have scouted out that Toxic with the Thunderous, but he got bailed out there. And that worked out in his favor. So good game. Well played. Congratulations on your first playoff victory, man. Well deserved. You put work all season, so that's cool. And my Chronicles are going to come back, and I'll hopefully see you guys next week with my game, which will hopefully be a finals game. So fingers crossed. Let's go. This is Finch. Really hope you guys enjoyed this game. Really was a treat, regardless of the outcome and the unfortunate stuff. Anyway, this is Finch. Peace.